Gardner Minshew is a character from a movie, from his mustache to the fact he was almost named Beowolf. As I researched his backstory, it reminded me of the Dos Equis guy. The Brandon, Mississippi native has had an insane football career and has become a fan favorite for many fans from his time at Washington State to some of his magical games in the NFL. Whether he gets another shot at an NFL starting job or not, he has already had a legendary football career. But who is Gardner Minshew? Gardner Flint Minshew II was born on May 16, 1996, and grew up in Brandon, Mississippi. Before he was even born, the legend of Gardner Minshew started when his grandfather wanted to name him Beowolf after the Old English poem about a warrior who travels to the end of the earth and beyond, often alone, to vanquish the world's most fearsome foes. Hell of a legacy to live up to, right? Gardner's father Flint told Yahoo, "That story is true. His grandfather wanted to name him that, but his grandfather didn't have to live with it every day, so it didn't happen." Instead, the family opted to name him Gardner Minshew II, with Flint explaining the second over Junior, saying, "In Mississippi, if you're a junior, you're going to be called Junior or Bubba." Beowolf Minshew didn't work out, and neither would Bubba Minshew, for another different reason. Long before he committed to football, Gardner ran the typical American youth sports gauntlet, and his father saw the beginning of an analytical sports mind at a young age. Flint recalls, "He was playing basketball, couldn't have been more than 5 or 6. He goes driving to the basket on a fast break, and this kid comes up and blocks his shot. The next play, Gardner gets another breakaway. Same kid comes at him. This time, Gardner stops, the other kid goes flying off the court. Gardner got an easy shot. He figured that out all on his own, on the court." Yahoo's Jay Busby writes, "It wouldn't be long before Gardner's church league team was pounding the Jesus out of every team they faced, once by a score of 60-2. Dominance was to become something of a tradition for Gardner." Flint continued, "He loved playing basketball, but we were way too competitive. I never knew who was going to get kicked out first, me or him." Gardner was always one of the best players on his team, but not always in the league. One year in T-ball, he wasn't named to the All-Star team and didn't handle the disappointment well, with his father recalling, "I was out of town and he's stomping all over the house, pissing and moaning that he didn't make the All-Star team. And his mother just chewed him out. 'You don't deserve to be an All-Star,' she told him. 'Every time Dad tried to get you to do something, you wanted to stay inside and play.' The cold truth woke him up, and his father continued saying he decided it didn't matter what sport it was, baseball or soccer or whatever. He was going to be down at the park working, taking extra fly balls, taking extra shot on goals, whatever it was. Gardner always wanted to be that guy." By the time Gardner got to 9th grade, he decided football was his sport of choice. Gardner had been playing in a version of the air raid offense since he was in 6th grade, and the playbook brought him to the attention of Wyatt Rogers, father of current Mississippi State quarterback Will Rogers, a coach who would learn the intricacies of the air raid by studying aficionados like Mike Leach and Hal Mumm. The Minshews would drive an hour each way to work with Rogers, and then, in a strange little twist, Rogers took a job at the very high school Minshew would be attending. Gardner started his freshman year at Brandon High School on the JV team, but the varsity quarterback got hurt in the 6th game of the year. Gardner was brought up and would not give up the starting job the rest of his high school career. Rogers recalled, "He and I would stay after school every day throwing. He would come in every morning at 7. His dad would drop him off at the office, and we'd spend an hour watching football, some day our practice, some days colleges, anything football related. Got to the point where I had taught him everything I could teach him in the X's and O's. Then the roles reversed a little bit, and I'd be asking him, 'What'd you see? What do you think about this, Gardner?' Gardner was named the Player of the Year by the Jackson Touchdown Club as a sophomore, throwing for 3,001 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions, leading the Bulldogs to the 6A championship game. As a junior, he threw for 2,690 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions, while as a senior, he threw for 3,541 yards and 31 touchdowns. He led the Bulldogs to the state title game once again and finished his career throwing for 11,222 passing yards and 105 touchdowns. He earned All-State selection and All-Metro squad and was named the South Offense MVP in the 2014 Bernard Blackwell All-Star Game. Coming out of high school, according to 24/7 Sports Composite, Gardner Minshew was a 3-star recruit who was the 40th best player in Mississippi, 70th best pro-style quarterback, and 1,837th best player nationally. He was recruited by Troy, Southern Miss, and Wake Forest coming out of high school. Brandon is a stone throws away from the likes of Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Alabama, and LSU, and after such a successful career, his family was surprised no big or small schools gave Gardner a serious look. Flint spoke on his son's recruitment, saying, "These coaches play the system. A lot of dads call me with the same frustration. I tell them the truth. In my opinion, when coaches tell you they're still evaluating, that's bull. They're trying to get you for a free walk-on if they don't have any other offers." Gardner originally committed to Troy, but opted to move to Northwest Mississippi Community College when a starting slot opened up. He threw for 3,228 yards and led NWCC to a junior college championship, and that put him on the radar of East Carolina University. Minshew would play in 7 games to make 2 starts at East Carolina, his first year. He took over the starting duties for Phil Nelson in mid-November, finishing the year throwing for 1,347 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. During the 2017 season, Minshew split time with Duke transfer Thomas Sirk, but began to show his talent late in the season, throwing for over 350 yards in 3 consecutive games. He threw for 462 yards and 3 touchdowns against Houston, 444 yards and 4 touchdowns against Cincinnati, and 351 yards against Memphis. He finished the season throwing for 2,140 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. After graduating in December of 2017, Minshew decided to transfer with his father, saying, when he left ECU, he sent releases to everybody in the nation that lost a starting quarterback to draft or graduation. USC, UCLA, Washington, LSU, Arkansas, Tennessee. We talked to a lot of people, but one particular conversation turned heads and perception. Back in January of 2018, Alabama was coming off an improbable national championship game victory over Georgia, pulled off when 2 different quarterbacks rallied the team. Conventional wisdom was that Bama was now in a loser leaves town quarterback situation. Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts would compete for the starting job in the spring, and whoever didn't win it would transfer. Nick Saban knew he needed a backup, and he had an eye on the kid from East Carolina. The only problem was, Hurts didn't end up transferring, not initially anyways, which would have left Minshew buried so deep on the Alabama bench, he would have never seen the light of day. Flint told Yahoo, when Saban likes you, everybody likes you. Everybody loved Gardner after he got an offer from Alabama. I was like, that's what I've been telling you. Mike Leach asked Gardner if he wanted to come to Washington State and lead the nation in passing yards. He would fulfill that promise when Gardner led the nation in passing and led the Cougars to their first 11-win season. They finished the year averaging 367.6 yards per game, broke Jared Goff's single-season Pac-12 yardage record, and finished 5th in the Heisman voting. Rodgers recalls going to a game in Pullman saying, "I see this big crowd, cameras, and boom mics. In Mississippi, there are about 4 or 5 people who can garner that kind of attention from the press. I'm thinking, holy crap, Paris Hilton must have shown up. Then, one of the football ops guys pulls me through. Next thing I know, there's Gardner in my face, and I'm saying, you're the one they're following?" Minshew finished the season throwing for 4,776 yards, 38 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. In the 2019 NFL Draft, Gardner Minshew was drafted in the 6th round, 178th overall, by the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was the 10th quarterback taken, and with the Jaguars just signing Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles, Minshew was expected to sit on the bench for a while. Then, Foles would snap his collarbone less than a quarter into the season, and Minshew came in completing his first 13 passes and finishing the game completing 22 of his 25 passes in the loss to the Chiefs. After the game, Gardner and his father split a 38-ounce tomahawk steak and a pile of sides at Cal Ford Chop House not far from the stadium. They exhaled, looking at each other, and had the same reaction. That was pretty cool. Minshew is famous for his mustache, and after he almost led a game-winning drive against the Houston Texans, an adult entertainment site reached out offering up to $100 million if he led a class as part of an online fitness program taught by adult entertainment stars or reps the company knitted intimate apparel for Halloween. I don't think Minshew accepted the offer though. Minshew finished the season throwing for 3,271 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions, starting 12 games during the season. During the 2020 offseason, Nick Foles was traded to the Chicago Bears, making Minshew the starting quarterback going into the season. He started off strong, completing 19 of his 20 passes for 173 yards and 3 touchdowns in their 27-20 win over the Colts. After Week 7, it was revealed he had suffered a broken thumb and ligament strain, returning in Week 14. He finished the season starting 8 games, throwing for 2,259 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. The Jaguars would draft Trevor Lawrence with the first overall pick and traded Minshew to the Philadelphia Eagles in August for a conditional 6th-round pick. It is unknown whether Minshew will get another shot at a starting quarterback job in the NFL, but he has already had a legendary career in my opinion. But what do you think? Will Gardner Minshew get another shot at a starting quarterback job in the NFL? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out my other videos right here. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.